Okay, pre-algebrains. This is a review for your quiz you're going to take tomorrow over the Pythagorean theorem stuff that we've been doing for the last week and a half or so. So it's going to be really straightforward. There are no trick questions. I'm not trying to stump you or anything. I'm going to give you basic examples of the skills that we have learned with the Pythagorean theorem. So let's just start off here. What is a hypotenuse?
The long side of a right triangle.
You said that beautifully. It is the long side of a right triangle. Good.
Thank you.
And so, very good answer.
Like I didn't see it before.
Which one of the angles does it not touch? It doesn't. What?
It doesn't touch the 90 degree.
It does not touch the right angle or the 90-degree angle. It's across from that 90-degree angle. All right. So that's the hypotenuse. Triangle LMN has lengths of 18.5, 10, and 15.5. Use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem to prove whether or not LMN is a right triangle. So we're just going to jump right in. With, oh my goodness, I'm having all kinds of problems here. There we go. Get that thing out of the way. All right. So the converse of the Pythagorean theorem is just, it still uses all the parts we're used to, but instead of having two numbers and solving for the third, we've got three numbers and we're going to see if they work, right? So we just put the two small numbers together, 10 squared plus 15.5 squared, and it equals 18.5 squared, maybe. Let's see, and then we just run those numbers. And in your calculators, yours are better than my calculator. Yours, you can just type this straight in, 10 squared plus 15.5 squared. My calculator doesn't do that. So 10 squared
500.
is 100 plus 15.5 squared
It's 500.
is 240.
You told me not to do that step, so I didn't do that step.
Okay, well, I'm doing these steps because my calculator doesn't. All right. 18.5 squared is 342.25. And then we just need to add these two together. So 100 plus 240 is 340.25 equals 342.25. Is that a true statement?
No.
They do not equal. How close do they need to be for us to be okay with it?
Right on it.
Close doesn't count. They've got to be exact. And so if they're not exactly the same number, then we say
Not a right triangle.
no, it is not. Yeah, so we can just say no to that question is not a right triangle. Number 3, what kind of triangle can the Pythagorean theorem be used to find?
Right.
Only a right triangle, right? Not any other kind. Number 4 on this page, find the unknown side and round to the nearest 10th. Rounding will matter on this quiz. You must round correctly when it says round to the 10th. Don't round to the hundredths. It says round to the 10th, round correctly to the 10th place. So 5 squared.
Plus 25 square equals.
No, 25 is the hypotenuse, so it's 5 squared plus b squared equals 25 squared. Okay? So we would do 25 plus b squared equals 625 minus 25. So b squared equals 600. Take the square root of both of those. So 600 square root 24.5 would be rounded to the nearest 10th. B is 24.5, and we need to label it since measurements are labeled. 24.5 feet. All right. The lengths of the legs of a right triangle are 8 inches and 9 inches. What is the length of the hypotenuse? Want that clear. There we go. The lengths of the legs of a right triangle are 8 inches and 9 inches. What is the length of the hypotenuse? So 8 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. So that would be 64 plus 81 equals c squared. So that would be 145. 145 equals c squared. So 145 square root is 12. Round it to the nearest
12.
inch. So 12 is what we would want to do. So C
Inch.
equals 12 inches.
Easy peasy.
Okay? And then for this last one here, again, we're going to use the converse of the Pythagorean theorem. So we're just going to work these numbers to see if they come out to be true or not. So 36 plus 49 equals
85.
64.
What?
Okay, that's not true. I mean, I could even without adding that together, 36 plus 49 does not equal 64. So
No.
that's a no. That doesn't work. This one down here, I'm just going to work down since I'm over on this side. Down. Notice they don't put this one in order, so don't just get in a habit of throwing your numbers in order because this one's out of order. So I would need to do 11 is 121 plus 7 squared is 49, and 17 squared is 289 equals 289. Well, that's nowhere near 289. 121 plus 49 is not even close. So that's a no. All right. This one would be 121 plus 3600 equals 3721.
Yes.
And that's yes.
That's confusing. This is confusing me.
Which part? All we're doing is squaring these. So 11 squared is 121. 60 squared is 3600.
Then how are those wrong? I mean, I
Because
get
they
the
don't-
first.
Well, because they're not true. They don't actually equal those numbers. So 6 squared is 36, 7 squared is 49, and 8 squared is 64, but they don't fit the theorem. So this is not a right triangle. So this triangle would have to be, like this, not a right triangle, like 6, 7, and 8, or something like that. Okay, yeah, so it doesn't have a right angle. All right, so this one would be 81 plus 144 equals 196. That's, I don't even need to, that's not true. What in the world? I don't know, how'd that happen?
Wouldn't that be
Uh,
230?
So, yeah, I mean, and if it helps you, I'm kind of skipping a step here where, like, if you want to add these two together, if you actually want to do 81 plus 144, that's 225, and then you have 225 equals 196. Well, that's where it falls apart. I'm just kind of skipping a step here. So I suppose I should be going ahead and filling those in. So 225 does not equal 196. All right. So if that helps, then I shouldn't take shortcuts during a review, I guess. Okay, everybody good on that page?
Yeah.
Any questions on numbers 1 through 6? All right, so you will have questions that look very, very similar to those, a vocabulary question or two. You'll have some little descriptive word problems. They're not really word problems, right? They're not like Billy went to the bank and took out $35 and bought a triangle, which would be weird. But you'll have some questions like that. And then you'll have a page, part of it that looks more like this one as well, which are just working through some problems that have Pythagorean theorem stuff on, right? And these numbers are a little bit bigger. But it's just straight up, straight up putting things into the formula and working the problems. So we'll work through, we probably won't have time to do all these, but we'll work through quite a few, and then you've got a few left over for practice problems. Okay, so a little bit bigger numbers, that's okay. Choose a pen. So which side am I missing a leg or a hypotenuse on number one? Missing a leg on number one. So I need to make sure, and that's what you gotta do, is you gotta make sure you're choosing the right usage of the formula, right? Don't just get in the habit of doing them all exactly the same, because you'll miss some of them then. This is gonna be 13.1 squared plus b squared equals 46.9 squared. These numbers are going to be bigger, so 13.1 squared. 171.61 plus b squared. And then 46.9 squared is 2199.61. So then what's my next move?
Subtract the 171.
Yep, subtract 171.61. It's gonna be 2028. Then square root 2028 square root, and that comes out to 45. And it says round to the nearest tenth, so that would just be 45. We're gonna round to 45.
That's a lot of steps.
There's a couple of steps.
45.
45, and they're not labeled with measurements, so just 45. All right. I put a little bigger numbers on this page than the ones we've been doing, but I think we'll be okay. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna just work my way down the page. I'll do just the odds, and if we have time, I might do a couple others, but just work my way down this direction here. All right, now notice this one actually has the same exact numbers, but is it the same exact problem?
No.
What's different?
You're missing the hypotenuse.
This time we're missing the hypotenuse instead of one of the legs, right? So I still need to do, I can't just regurgitate the whole problem, although I kind of backed up here, I can use some of the same numbers over, right? Kind of put all that right in the middle of everything. I don't know where to go to reuse the numbers. I'm gonna put this up here. I'm just gonna reuse some of these numbers because I need those numbers again, right? But I need them in a different place. So 13.1, whoops, I still thought I grabbed the pen. Hold on. I wanted to change colors and everything. There we go. 13.1 squared plus, not plus b squared. This time we switched where the things are at.
Plus 46.
So this is no longer the hypotenuse. Now it's one of the legs. Equals c squared, right? So I can do 171.61 plus 2199.61 equals c squared. So it's the same numbers as I used last time, right there and right there. They're just in different places. All right, so that is 171.61 plus 2371.61 .22 equals c squared.
And square root it.
Square root that,
It's gonna be 47.
48.7.
Boom, let's go backwards.
Okay? So I didn't even plan that. The worksheet creator deal that I used just did that all on its own, jumbled up the numbers like that. So it's kind of interesting. When I saw it, I thought, oh, that's kind of neat though. All right. You good? Okay.
No, I'm just lost on that one thing.
What'd you do?
How do you know which, if you put B second or the
It doesn't
number second? It does matter, cause he's been saying that the whole time.
A and B I could switch around. I could switch the 46.9 and the 13.1, the order of those two, and it'd be okay. I just can't switch either of them with C. C has to be the biggest number by itself. It always has to be the hypotenuse. Okay? All right. Number 5. So does it matter if they don't give you a picture of a triangle?
No.
It shouldn't.
About 4.
But you know what? If you really like pictures of triangles, draw one. It'd be okay. If you need to see it, just draw you a little triangle and say that's A and that's B, which is 7.3. And then this is C, which is 20.7. It's okay if you don't, I mean, fine, if you want to draw one, do it. You don't have to. So A squared plus 7.3 squared equals 20.7 squared. Seven point three squared is 53.29. And then 20.7 squared is 428.49. So subtract 53.29, 375.2. So A squared equals 375.2.
Is 375.
Square root
19.4.
A equals 19.4.
That's easy.
Okay? All right, next, work down the page here. Number 7. This time I'm missing C, which is the hypotenuse. So I can do 31.6 squared plus 24.6 squared equals C squared. Oh, 34, thank you. That's really bad. Oh my goodness. $34. Thank you for correcting me before I worked all the way through the problem. That's usually when people correct me at the end when I get the wrong answer. All right, so 31.6 squared, 998.56 plus 34.6 squared plus 1197.16 equals C squared. So plus 998.56 equals 2195.72 equals C squared.
And
Square root 46 point, nope, 9. 46.9 equals C. All right. We're getting there. Okay. last couple of examples we'll do, move down the page to numbers 9 and 11. And, this is where we just have to check, We just have to check and see if the numbers work. So 7.8 squared plus 16 squared equals 16.2 squared. So 7.8 squared, 60.84 plus 256 equals, 16.2 squared, 262.44. That's not gonna work out. 60.84 plus 256 equals 316.84 does not equal 262.44. That's not true, so this is a no. You do need to declare it. Don't just do the math and then leave an equation up there. Tell me yes or no on these questions, right? This is either a right triangle or not a right triangle. So if you don't tell me yes or no, you haven't answered the question, even if you've shown me all the work. And then number 11, so 3.6 squared, 12.96, plus 7.7 squared, 59.29. Equals 8.7 squared, 75.69. So 12.96 plus 59.29 equals 72.25. Does not equal 75.69. So this one again is a no. Okay, any questions?
Nope.
Show me thumbs up and thumbs down how you think tomorrow's gonna go.
Good.
All right, see lots of thumbs up, couple of not,
You want
but
these squiddy ones?
pessimists. Those are your study guides to hang on to study. For the quiz, I don't collect those.
What do we wanna do now?
Free time.